Speaking of Christ and going to the topic of faith, I'm in the middle of reading the Book of Enoch right now.
Oh, bro, come on, bro, let's go. I love this.
I mean, I'm not done with it. I probably got like 2 hours left. I'm listening to the audio version of it,
Okay.
and it's kind of, I feel like in traditional church, like it's not talked about.
Oh, for sure.
You have to do your due diligence.
For sure.
And, it's left out of the canon of
that's
like
what's not talked
Bible,
about, bro.
Right? Same with, I've been going to Mass in Catholic Church, and they have, a different canon than, like an evangelical church.
Right, yeah.
And I remember I was looking at one of the books that they use for church, for Mass, and it had, the Book of Wisdom. I'm like, what the heck is this? And like me being raised in like a non-denominational church, I was like, hold up, what? Like, it made me skeptical.
Yeah, it's heresy.
And I'm like, hold up, what is the book? The Book of Wisdom. I'm like, oh, this was written by King Solomon.
Yeah.
I'm like, why isn't this taught about? So I went and I got it, and like I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Then the Book of Enoch's been on my radar for a while, and I'm going through it, and I'm like, why is this actually left out? Because this brings almost everything in the world full circle. From the questions that we have about the beginning of time, how the earth is made, how the sun, the moon, the stars, the wind, the water, how sin, who was in charge of like, corrupting human beings and like the demons, the fallen angels, and then the demons, and what demons are and what the fallen angels are.
The Nephilim.
And I feel like it's, this is where, I mean, this may be a hot take, I don't know.
No, come on.
Hold on, let me take another sip,
on, bro.
just so I can blame it on the,
It's the wine, y'all.
You got some champagne here. But I feel like this is where religion gets into control, and it's purposely left out.
Yes, it is.
For that control factor.
Exactly.
And it's just crazy. I think for me, the Old Testament is my favorite.
Oh, me too.
Because it's it's like a movie.
Yeah.
You got giants. You got like mass murder. You got a flood.
Yep.
You got mysteries.
You got different kings coming in, falling, rising. Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh.
Old Testament is my favorite, bro. I started reading the Old Testament like heavy in 2020, right before COVID, because God was like focused on that. And Old Testament teaches you the fear of God. New Testament teaches you the love of God, right? And so people always want the love part. So that's why the Old Testament is not taught upon, because it's that fear. No one wants accountability. But when you have that fear of God, you have wisdom, right? And so the Book of Enoch, man, is taken out because what did Jesus say? In the end times, it's going to be like the times of Noah. During the times of Noah was during the times of the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
And so why is it taken out? So no one, it's almost like the 2 Corinthians talks about the devil blinds the people so they have scales. They never see the love of God. They never see what God is showing them. So look what the world's patterns are going. It's like the world doesn't want you to know the end is coming. They don't want you to see the prophetic signs. They don't want you to see what's going on. They want you to just be sheep being fed by the news, just being stuck like that, right? But when you read the Book of Enoch, you start questioning like, bro, this really happened? And you start questioning, what, is God real? And it gives you a curiosity to learn more about God, his nature, and that takes you to the Old Testament. You start reading some crazy stories, and it brings that fear. And now you reverence God. And now you learn like, man, I shouldn't be doing this because God's omnipotent. He's watching me. And that's like the fear of God. So when the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, it's like you recognizing his omnipresence. He's watching you 24/7. And if you realize that, you don't want to sin.
Right.
But the problem is we forget God's watching us. And so we go out and do our own ways. But getting back to the Old Testament, man, like think about Job. Job, it's canon, right? But it's in the middle of the Old Testament. But the story of Job actually happened before Noah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know why. I used to always wonder, why is the Bible like, why is it like that? Yeah, order. Man. Like, I don't know why Job was just out of the middle of nowhere.
There's actually a version of the Bible. I actually have the New Testament version. They also have an Old Testament. I wish I could remember like what it's called, but it's the New Testament in order. And they have the Old Testament as well. And it's in chronological order of like timeline and when things happen.
So how does it go then? Genesis, how does it,
For the Old Testament, I don't know, because I don't have it.
Okay.
But see, that's what I'm curious about, like where, like with the Book of Enoch, like I always have wondered, all right, like so God created Adam and then Eve, but at some point in time, Satan was kicked out of heaven, or Lucifer was kicked out of heaven.
That was before.
Right? But then like, so then you have the angels that then came down with Satan that also got kicked out. And my questions and like where I'm curious about is like where's like the in between, you know, like what happened in the in between, because Satan was already on the earth.
Yeah.
The angels that turned into demons, right, are now on the earth as well. They're not mentioned. And then Adam and Eve sin, and then, you know, people start procreating. But then sin enters the world. And then it's like, you know, Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, and then I'm trying to think of like the next chronological.
After the Cain and Abel, because like when you go into like it goes into Enoch, because right before Enoch, one of the fallen angels, Nimrod, he's the one that took
King
Cain.
Nimrod, they're in
Cain,
Babylon.
Yeah, Cain made his own nation.
Yeah.
Right, and then because God said he would never die, he's gonna roam the land forever. Right. So Cain made his own nation. Nimrod taught them how to make metal, how to make war. So that started all the problems. But
that's what's crazy about the Book of Enoch. It tells you the evil spirits that taught all the weapons of war and witchcraft. And so like for me, I love history. That's why I think I really love the Old Testament, is just because it's so interesting. And like we know the specific time frames and when things happen, but like pre-flood and post-flood, like I always am curious about like Egypt.
Yeah, it was during that time.
Like, because this is gonna be a conspiracy episode, and
I mean, it's all right.
This is a new version of the Joe Rogan. But like, you know, every culture on Earth talks about angels and demons.
Yep.
It talks about a flood. There's always a flood story. It doesn't matter what culture. Every culture in the world talks about a flood story. And then, you know, the younger Dryas period, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's basically scientists have confirmed that there was this huge, massive flood here on Earth. It was called the younger Dryas period. And that's why, like, the pyramids and the Sphinx were covered all up, right, with like mud and now sand. And so, like, I always try to place these things in my mind of, like, when chronologically they happened, and like where's the gaps in the Bible of like the stories, and like what was going on outside of that story. So like Cain and Abel is going on, but where's all the other people? You know what I mean? Like to me, that's where my curiosity starts to set in. And I'm like, man, we know a lot about back then, but think about how much we don't.
We don't know more. We probably know like 20%.
Yeah.
Like 80% of it is like we don't know, but dude, that's my favorite part, man. It's all those conspiracies, because when you look at every region in the world, there's always some type of spiritual god. So you look at Egypt, the gods of Egypt, there are giants, all those conspiracies, right? You go to like North, like mythology, right? You have Thor, you have Odin, you have like that mythology, but still gods, right? You go to China, you have like the dragons, right? The big gods, like the Buddha temples, all that, right? You go to India, you have like Gilgamesh, all those kind of gods. Yeah. And then you go to Aztecs, you have those gods. So the Nephilim, those people, they went to every part of the world, and they like pretty much indoctrinate people, saying like, hey, we're the gods, we have special abilities. That's where all those superhero movies, that's where all those Greek god movies, it comes from during that time period, because those guys ruled around the world. And so when I used to grow up, I used to love Greek mythology. I used to love all these things. I'm like, it came from somewhere.
Right.
It was during this time period, but we just take it as folktale. We just take it as stories, but it really happened. Like all these stories, like it might have happened exactly. Hercules might not have happened, all that exactly, but there was a region of people who believed in like, oh, Hercules god, Odin, Thor, like those kind of things. There was a section in Asia that believed in that, and that's where we get all these different religions today, because it really happened.
Right.
And those gods really had power. And so, but they didn't have we have more power than those gods.
Right.
And that's what Satan never wants us to understand. We have more power than all those demigods, all the Nephilim. But since like God is patient and it requires like times for you to get nurtured, so you get anointed, you get that power, and you have to learn, they just come down and have like special power. And so you look at them as like, oh, that's God. And so they ruled over earth during that time. And that's what God's like, no. I got to flood this because this is getting out of hand.
Right.
Bro, I'm telling you,
I love it, yeah.
But it's scary to watch at night. The first time I got into it is at night, bro.
Turn on that night light.
Homie, it was like 1 or 2 o'clock, and it kept getting deeper and deeper. I'm like, yeah, I got to turn this off, because I'm not going to sleep good.
Yeah.
Because it's real.
I've been there. I'm like, I be knowing too much. I think somebody can come in.
I be thinking,
somebody's monitoring my computer right now.
I don't know if I can watch all this, but it happened, bro. But I love the Old Testament, man, because after that period, the Noah's Ark. But even Job, though, because you look at Job's story, what did God tell Job? Were you there when I created the Behemoth? Were you there when I created the what's the one in the ocean? The Leviathan.
Yeah.
And he, like, no one can control it, right? And people are like, where are those things? What are those things? What's the Behemoth? If you look at the description of the Behemoth, it looks like a dinosaur, right? And so people are like, oh, these dinosaurs are real, all these things, right? We look at, like, during that time period, they never were called dinosaurs. They were called dragons. So they're always dragons. We call them dinosaurs. We took them out. And I heard this theory, like, people go back hundreds of years, they can't find certain bones of people. But then we look today, go back, we say millions of years ago, we have a full skeleton of a dinosaur. How does that make sense, bro?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. And so it's like all these different things. If you were a person that have discernment and, like, want God to, like, you're listening to God, it sticks out to you. And that curiosity makes you learn and want to find out the truth. But a lot of times people don't have that openness, don't have that curiosity. So they're just like, oh, I'm just going to believe what they say. Let me just fall in line.
And that's why you shouldn't just get your Bible content from just going to church and sermons.
Man.
Because, like, there is times where, I mean, I'll speak personally for myself. You get burnt out on your faith walk. I know that may sound bad to most people. Like, how could you say that? But, like, you can judge me all you want. We know you're lying, but you go through different seasons of your faith, and there's certain seasons where you're stronger and you're more convicted, and there's times where it almost feels like a chore.
Yeah.
But when you go through those times, like, that's where you dive in deeper. That's where you lean in, and, like, that's why, like, if you really go and do your due diligence and what we should be learning about each and every single day, because God is the most important. We're on this earth because of God. Like, it gets fun. It gets interesting.
Yeah.
And it ultimately relates to more wisdom. And I believe you're a better forecaster for the future to set yourself up, but also set up your family, the people around you, by understanding what happened previously, right?
And there's patterns.
Exactly. There's patterns, but there's nothing new under the sun, right? And so, like, you're talking about, like, Marvel and all these superheroes. It's not new.
Yeah, dude.
It's not something that happened in the 1980s and, Spider-Man and Stan Lee, created all these things. No, like, these things have been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. They just put a little bit of flavor on it. They called it Catwoman, and here we are.
Yeah, bro. Literally, there's a if you Google, like, Aztec pictures and type in Batman, there's literally like from, like, 3,000 years, I don't know how many years ago, but where the Aztecs were. This guy, there's like a Batman figure, bro. It's like the same. Me and Sam, because I'm a DC Marvel guy, right? But me and Sam were like, bro, that's Batman.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, so that all these characters are already here. We just took it and maybe changed it up a little bit and made it more modern, so, like, it is not scary.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's cool for kids.
They always say, like, if the Library of Alexandria didn't burn down.
Oh, bro, I heard about that.
How we would be so advanced. Going back to Egypt, there's these hieroglyphs. They're, like, very famous hieroglyphs, and it's like a helicopter, a yacht, like a fighter jet, a spaceship,
astronaut, bro.
And, like, they look exactly
like
what they are supposed to be, and it's like,
oh, man.
Well, like, what is that?
Yeah,
or is that exactly what it was? Like, that's what gives me so much curiosity around that topic of, like, what was the world back then? And, like, if I had a time machine, I would go exactly to that point. I'm not interested in the future.
Yeah, I'm cool.
I remember watching, like, the Jetsons in, like, the 2000s, and, like, oh man, like, there's gonna be flying cars. It really don't seem that interesting.
Yeah, for me it was all right.
Like, the future, nah. Like, even Star Wars, cool, but, like, if you watch the movies, it's just all war. I ain't trying to go to that. I'm trying to go learn about the history, and, like, I just want to be a fly on the wall. Like, yo, how are the pyramids getting built?
But it's that humility, bro. That humility to want to learn.